My name is Daniel Zia. I'm the founder and CEO of the Zia Group with Keller Williams Realty here in Santa Barbara and Montecito, California. For over 15 years, you've been trusting me and my team to be your local real estate economists of choice. Thank you for your trust. I'm here to share with you what happened in our 2020 luxury real estate market, focusing on the areas of Montecito and Hope Ranch. I'm going to dive deep into the market statistics. I'm going to provide you some analysis of why the market reacted the way it did, and also give you some predictions on what's going to happen in 2021. So I'm going to dive right in. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. And here is our website. So if you're seeing this on social media and not directly on our website, you can go to ziagroup.com. You've got a full market analysis of the South Santa Barbara County real estate market here with some great proprietary graphs and charts showing what the real estate market has done as a whole. But for today's market update video, I'm going to focus solely on the luxury real estate market in 2020. So to start off, it was a banner year in luxury real estate in the Santa Barbara and Montecito area. So between the areas of Montecito and Hope Ranch, two of the most affluent areas in our larger community, there were 419 total sales. That's a 64% increase over last year. To put that into more context, if you look at the Montecito market, which just had it was a banner year. It was so strong. You had 374 sales in Montecito, and that's a 74% increase over last year. On average, if you look at the 5 previous years, you had over 200 sales per year, just over 200 sales per year in Montecito. So to have 374 sales in 2020, that's almost twice as much sales activity. Hope Ranch also had a strong year. The year before, there were 35 sales. In 2020, there were 45 sales. So that's a 29% increase. So let's talk about what happened with prices. Everyone wants to know, well, did prices go up? Did prices go down? Prices did go up in 2020 in our luxury market. We had, just again, a phenomenal year. You had 11% increase in the median sales price. So the median sales price between those two areas is $3,256,000. You can see here that the median sales price in Montecito actually didn't increase quite as much as Hope Ranch. Hope Ranch went up 13% and Montecito went up 9%. That's where you're getting that 11% average. Also to note here, the 3.4 million, these median sales price includes both single family homes and estates, as well as condos. So for those of you that know Hope Ranch is a community of about 800 homes, but there are no condos in Hope Ranch. So this $3.4 million median sales price is really just single family homes, where in Montecito, this is inclusive of both single family homes and condos. If you take out the condos from this median sales price, you actually end up with a median sales price of $3.6 million, which is above the median sales price of Hope Ranch of $3.4 million. So as you scroll down here, you can actually see the last 5 years, what the median home price has done in Montecito and Hope Ranch. Here is your Hope Ranch median sales price, and here is your Montecito median sales price, and here are both of the sales prices together. So a couple talking points here. So you'll actually see a price decrease here in Montecito here in 2018. For those of you guys that remember that event at the end of 2017, we had the Thomas Fire, one of the larger fires in California history. And we also had the subsequent debris flow when the fire removed the smaller foliage. And we had some of those flash floods that we haven't had since. It was kind of a one-time event, but it did occur, and that actually drastically affected in a negative way the Montecito market. And we had a lot of Montecito residents sell their Montecito properties and actually move to Hope Ranch, one of the other luxury areas, really the only other predominant luxury area in our community. And so that's why you saw a massive spike of home values in Hope Ranch because of that. And then we saw an equalization of that. So as that fear mentality loosened, as people realized that the debris flow was not going to be a repeat event, the Montecito was still a wonderfully safe and place to live, that you saw an equalization there. So you saw home prices start to go up again in Montecito, and you saw an equalization as some people again transitioned back from Hope Ranch to Montecito, and now you're seeing more of a parallel popularity between the two communities. So going down, we're going to now look at the yearly home sales per year for Montecito and Hope Ranch. This lighter line here is Hope Ranch. The darker red is Montecito. Here's where I mentioned where you got 384 sales in Montecito, and when you compare that to the last number of years, the last 5 years, it's again almost twice as many home sales. Just a phenomenal year. When you compare it to Hope Ranch, you have far more consistency in home sales. So part of it is, again, you only have 800 homes in Hope Ranch, so there can only be so much of that inventory that sells. Where Montecito, you've got about 12,000 residents in Montecito, so you've got the perspective, the opportunity for a lot more of those to come on in a given year, if you have some extenuating circumstances like we had this year. And we'll talk a little bit more about that here in the next few minutes. So here are your average price trends by month in Montecito and Hope Ranch. So you can see month by month, there's always fluctuations in both your median and your average home price. We don't pay a lot of attention month by month because, you can have, like in Hope Ranch, you can have one outlier sale, like this was 4225 Cresta Avenue in Hope Ranch, and it can really skew any kind of median average sales price in particular, but in some occasion on a small sample size, also your median home price. And so you can see here, we typically look at a longer year-over-year trend like we did up there. Scrolling down, here's your median home price month for month in Montecito and Hope Ranch, very similar to the trend up above. Slightly lower fluctuations overall, but you can again see your month by month trend here. Here's where it starts to get a little bit more interesting. So, here are your number of home sales for Montecito and Hope Ranch in 2019. Here you see the 35 sales in Hope Ranch and the 221 sales in Montecito. And then even though there were more sales in Hope Ranch in 2020 than 2019, as a percentage of their overall luxury market actually went down in the number of sales. So in 2020, you had 89% of the luxury market was made up in Montecito, and the remaining 11% was in the area of Hope Ranch, looking at those two kind of high-end areas. This chart here will show you kind of month by month, what is the seasonal pattern of buying in Montecito and Hope Ranch. It's very similar than the other years that we've had. And this is kind of, this is interesting in that normally, let me rephrase. So what we have here is normally you're going to have a different curve. So this curve is going to actually increase going up. As inventory levels rise and buyer demand rises, going to go up and peak here in the summer months and then go back down. This year, you have far more hesitation here in the first part of the year. Mostly, you saw this reflected in March, April, May, compared to typical years, because again, you had the pandemic happening, and that caused some pause. Now, the interesting thing is, you can see this is pretty consistent here, where I'm going to actually scroll you up. Sorry to scroll so quickly here. Here is the overall market in Santa Barbara. So this is the affordable and luxury market together. Let's look at this. In April and May, look at what the overall market did. It just dropped off the map as far as home sales, and had this massive trough there. And then it shot back up, where again, if we look back in Montecito and Hope Ranch, you had more of a flattening versus an actual trough, a big dip there. And part of that is, the affluent population that's buying and selling homes in Hope Ranch and Montecito, they have far more liquidity and options on when to buy and sell. So there was less reaction to the pandemic events for a period of time, and then they realized what the pandemic was doing, and they made some life changes, and they went ahead and started getting into the market there in droves. So a few other things that you're not going to see on this chart would be, let's talk about cash offers. So cash offers every month in Montecito and Hope Ranch, 30 to 64% of the offers that get accepted and close escrow, those closed transactions, are going to be cash purchases. On average, it was 45%. So if you're looking to enter in and purchase a property in the Hope Ranch or Montecito area, and you are a cash buyer, you're going to be one of many cash buyers there. And again, 45% of those transactions are going to be cash. If you are a finance buyer and you don't have the capacity to be cash, you're going to want to make sure that your agent is counseling you correctly on what other areas of price, terms, and other incentives to make up for the fact that you're probably going to be competing with one or more cash offers. Another thing that was interesting this year is the market saw far more multiple offer scenarios than we've ever seen before in the luxury market of Santa Barbara and Montecito. So a lot of luxury buyers who in our area weren't used to having to compete with multiple offers. In some cases, there were 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or more offers that they were now competing with. And so while they're used to where they were used to previously a one-on-one negotiation with the seller, having more equal leverage, kind of a push and pull, now they were very similar to the rest of our market, having to compete in multiple offer scenarios on the vast majority of attractive luxury properties that came on the market, primarily in the last 7-8 months of the year. So that was important data. We also saw some of the largest number of true luxury sales, the most expensive estates in our area. There were a total of 10 sales over 10 million, there were a total of 24 sales over $10 million. And when you look at $6 million and above, there were a total of 64 sales. So really, really significant bump in the number of sales in some of the larger estates in our area. So you got real estate prices went up in a double-digit appreciation. You have the number of sales skyrocketed. So we've been talking about the statistics, but I haven't given you a lot of color as to why that's occurred. So we all know in 2020, we had the pandemic. So COVID-19 hit. We talked about that a little bit here in this graph. But how that really affected the luxury market is you had, I think the biggest factor is you have, whether you want to call it I would term it an urban migration. So you had this fear mentality of the pandemic hits, and you had a lot of affluent homeowners that lived in large cities. The pandemic hit, and they wanted to, their access to those downtown amenities that they loved, the big city amenities that they loved, the big city lifestyle, a lot of that was not only stripped from them, they could no longer access them. So they're living in much smaller spaces with much fewer outdoor amenities, but suddenly they can no longer even access the outdoor amenities that they have that are public, or even the big city kind of amenities that they're used to. So that's taken away from them. And then you add to that the fear mentality of the higher population density of these big cities increases the chance of infection for the pandemic. And so we saw a very rapid shift as the pandemic hit full swing of a lot of these affluent clients wanting to get into the luxury market and move to areas like Santa Barbara and Montecito, Hope Ranch, Montecito. They wanted to get into our community, and their buying preferences had changed, to be honest. There was in the years previous, there was a reaction away from larger estates, the larger, grander, more historic estates that had lots of square footage on the interior of the home, couple, 2, 3, 4 acres of land that surrounded that. That actually was going out of popularity, and the sales prices of those estates were actually being eroded year after year as there was a shift away from those larger, grander estates into smaller, newer built, often single level homes with less maintenance outdoors, even if that included less amenities. There was just more of a minimalistic focus. And then COVID hit, and suddenly we went backwards years in buyer trends. And now the thought of these larger, more luxurious and grander estates became very much back in popularity, and we saw the sales prices shoot up for those larger estates. So a lot of those estates that have, interior home sizes of 10,000 square feet or more, now the thought of all those extra rooms to be, zooming for work, or to have the kids now having to zoom for school, they wanted more space. They wanted more individual rooms. The open layouts weren't quite as popular anymore. They wanted some compartmentalization of space. So the buyer preferences actually changed, and now they were shopping for a different reason. And a lot of these homeowners, they have multiple properties in their portfolios, and a lot of the properties they had on their portfolio, to spend different times of the year in different properties in different parts of the country, they didn't have anything in their portfolio that was more of this, you're gonna be in this one location for a longer period of time. You want more space. You may want to have more options for family to come live with you, and to kind of shelter in place during the pandemic. So it just had a massive impact on our market, and we had that wave of affluent buyers, that urban migration, a lot down from the Bay Area, a lot of them up from LA, quite a few over from New York. So that had a massive impact on our market, and one of those reasons, and it was one of those main reasons why the real estate prices went up. So right now, we're at some of the most historic lowest points of inventory than we've ever seen. So buyer selection is at its lowest. And we have a massive pent-up buyer demand of home buyers in a luxury space that have been waiting to get in, and they've been so discouraged not being able to find the inventory that they want, the type of home that they're looking for, or they're not used to getting outbid, and they've been outbid 1, 2, 3 times, and they're ready to bid very aggressively here in round 2, 3, or 4, but they can't find the right home. So if you are a homeowner in Montecito or Hope Ranch, and you're thinking about maybe selling at a historically high sales price for Montecito or Hope Ranch, now is the perfect time to do that. You can capitalize on the certainty of this market, get an all-time historical high. Our team, Zia Group, we've actually literally been breaking pricing records on streets and neighborhoods in different areas of Santa Barbara and Montecito. We'd love to do that for you. Please do reach out to us. We're happy to give you a private consultation, either in person or via Zoom at your preference. And we can talk you through, one, what your home or estate may sell for in today's hot luxury market. But also, we can talk to you about how our proprietary marketing plan, which has changed since COVID, and some of the new sales strategies that most agents and teams are not implementing yet, how we've been using them to get record-breaking prices for our clients above and beyond what we're even seeing in the market as a whole. So I hope you have found this market update helpful. Thank you so much for your trust these last 15 years. My team and I look forward to continuing to be the real estate economists of choice for you and your family and friends. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions on what the market has been doing or what it's going to be doing next year in 2021. A little teaser on that. I do think that the 2021 market is going to be strong for the luxury segment of the market. But we have the most certainty about that in the coming weeks and months. So if you're thinking about selling in 2021, the time to do that is sooner rather than later, because you capitalize on the certainty of now versus the uncertainty of later. What happens with the economy? What happens with the pandemic? What happens if there is a reverse urban migration where some of the people that have bought homes fleeing cities now want to buy homes again back to the big cities now that they're safer and the pandemic is no longer a factor in the coming months. All those things we're going to be watching week by week and month by month. Tune into our market updates, and please do reach out if you want a private consultation.